I'm here to give you a demo on my Flatiron school final project. This is a React front-end application with a Rails backend. It is a single page application. There's only one index HTML file that's pulling all of this in. The purpose of this application is to pull weather from a third-party weather API, and then based on that weather, suggest an activity to do for the day. This does, well, here. So we can go to our weather search page and enter a zip code. This will fetch the weather for that zip code, and it will persist it in the Rails backend database. The weather API has some restrictions, so I save the data and I only fetch new data if it's been more than 15 minutes since the data was fetched for that zip code. The icon here is provided by the weather API. I can go ahead and get a suggestion for an activity, and if I don't like it, I can get another suggestion. It does pick at random, so it might pick the same thing twice, especially since my activities list is kind of small at the moment. I can click on the link for that particular activity that's been suggested, and you'll notice when I click on it, my URL will change, and I will go to the activities and that ID URL. This gives more detail on the activity, specifically in terms of what weather conditions this activity is allowed. From here we can go to the activities list and get a full table of all the activities that are in the database that have been pulled from the Rails API. From here we can edit, remove, or create a new activity. We can go ahead and remove this guy. It does ask you to confirm that you want to delete the activity, and then it reloads, and you notice that little loading data in the background that flashes pretty fast. That loads up when the the store is being populated. So it's while the fetch is happening. Right. So we can edit anything we want to edit. This form is validated, so some things are required. And then I do have mins and maxes on these. It has to be between 0 and 100, so I can't put 105. And so long as there is a problem, the submit button is grayed out. These maximum minimums are all optional, so I don't have to fill them in. And again, this is a controlled form, so I can pick whatever box I want, and it's storing this in the internal state for this particular container. So I've edited this, and I want to submit it, and then it gives me the show page for that. It redirects to the show page for that particular activity. I can click new and get a new form. This form is used by both the edit container and the activity container. It just sends different props based on the different pages. They both use the same onChange functions as well. There isn't any validation in terms of whether the min and the max are in the right order. I didn't get into that. If you don't want your activity to ever come up, it won't come up. So after the new page, the new activity is created and saved in the Rails backend, and it is returned to us. It is loaded in this show page. For the project requirements, I think I've touched on that this has more than 2 containers. It needs more than 3 routes. I am using RESTful routes based on, in terms of my activity, the index is what it should be. My edit, I have to submit to get to my show page. Actually, I have a link for my show page here. And then new is also using RESTful routes, and the Rails backend is as well. I also need the store, so I am using Redux. When the application loads, it fetches all of the activities and then all of the conditions, so the weather conditions. That's how I get my checkboxes here. And if I'm on this page and I refresh, it will redirect me to the welcome page because the data hasn't been loaded. I showed you validation. I think that's it.